Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Shining Brighter. My name's Nick, and it's a little early this morning, but the rain stopped and it's a nice day out. So here we are. What I want to talk about today is something that I've mentioned before about the way I used to approach life. The title is Lean on Me, and I always believed that if I couldn't handle all my problems on my own, then I couldn't be of use to anybody else. I felt like it was almost like I felt like I was weak if I couldn't handle all my stuff. And I think there are quite a few people who feel this way. And I don't think it was so much about weakness as insecurity as being seen as weak. I've always tried to be somebody that people could turn to, lean on, rely on, somebody that people could trust to help them through their problems. And my thought was just, well, if they see me struggling, they won't feel like they can come to me. Clearly I was wrong. And it wasn't a matter of ego, really. It's just how I looked at things, and it's okay. To some degree, we're all gonna take care of our own problems. Because there's some stuff that people just aren't comfortable sharing. And it's understandable, whatever it may be. But if you're lucky enough to have a person or people around you that tell you, hey, I'm here for you. All you got to do is ask, or all you got to do is call. If you trust them, then you believe them to be true to their word. Take advantage of that. Because there's so many things to have to deal with in life. And a lot of times it can really, bring somebody down because life is stressful. At least until we get healed and we figure out, only worry about what you can control, let the rest go. If it's out of your control, why are you going to stress about it? Nothing you can do. It's not going to change. But it's kind of like the saying about raising kids, how it takes a village. It takes a village to get through life. And it makes it so much easier and so much better because there's so many things that you could be going through. Stress over work, stress over money, stress over health, stress over social life, all the big things. And it can be daunting. And I think that's why these days there's so many now diagnosed cases of ADHD, anxiety, mood disorders, mental health issues. And, obviously a lot has to do with advances in the medical field and the psychiatric fields, like learning to recognize these things. But life just seems so much simpler. I'm somebody that grew up in the 80s. And as kids, we really don't have a clue as to what's really going on in the world. We can hear adults talk about things, we can see things on the news, but as kids, we're not, looking into the Iran war to say, oh, what's really going on here? But when I look back, families could still be families. You could still have one parent working, one parent stay at home if that's what you chose. You know, those days when your mom would say, it's a nice day, get outside, I don't want to see you till dinner. And they didn't worry about where you went. You know, but it's not like that anymore. There's just so much force fed to us daily through social media, you know, political division, religious issues, you know, wondering if gas prices are going to skyrocket, if we're going to be able to afford food. Like, it's just a very different time. So nobody should have to go through it all alone. There's just no reason. You know, and if you're somebody that doesn't feel like you have that support system, there are still places you can turn, and you should. There's no shame whatsoever in, you know, joining some kind of a support group, or maybe you go to your local church or whatever religious establishment you go to, and you know, you get support you need there. There's no right or wrong. There's no judgments, because you shouldn't be caring what anybody else thinks of you, no matter what. It's not their life to decide, it's yours. And if you feel that you need help or guidance or support, or even just somebody to vent to, find that person or find that group of people. Lean on them. You know, the point of my channel is to do just that, to offer some positivity, some help, support. You know, whatever I can offer through my videos. And like you know, I always say, comment. Let's create a discussion. Let's find ways to support each other, because I don't have all the answers, nor do I believe I have all the answers. I'm just fortunate right now that I've gone through such heavy darkness, but I fought my way through. And the difference this time with my healing, if I'm going to be completely honest, is that I did reach out for help. I did lean on people. I've said it before. When I told people that I was seeing a therapist, they just kind of like looked at me like, you're going to a therapist? And I said, yeah, I've recognized that I have too much on my shoulders, and I need support and I need help. And then, you know, like I said, my gratitude is off the charts for both my therapist and my life coach. Two wonderful and amazing people that genuinely care. You know, and not that they haven't seen people go through worse than me, but they don't judge it on the level. And they don't actually judge it at all. They just take the person and they take the situation the person's in, and they empathize and they point out things that I couldn't see. And they helped me come to a lot of realizations. So much of what was happening with me was because of what I was allowing to be done to me. Believing that if I showed people enough just how good I was, and that I was there for them, and I had their backs, believing that that would be returned to me was foolish. Unfortunately, you know, when you're in that mode, you attract a ton of narcissists, which really sucks. Narcissists are the most unhealed people on the planet. And, you know, I've said before, I don't hate anyone. I don't have that kind of energy to waste. Nor do I want that kind of energy going out into the universe and coming back on me through karma. Because it is real. And for the people that, were trying to hurt me and were trying to do me wrong, even though I know karma is going to come around to them because it's out of my hands, I have no control over it. I still don't wish them harm. I wish them healing. Some of them, like I've said before, have no place left in my life and don't get a second chance and don't get to do the Scooby-Doo rerun and come back. And that's fine, but that still doesn't mean that I don't want them to grow as people and heal and see just how poor their life path and their life choices were. And I hope those people find somebody that they can lean on and they can open up to. Because that really, when it comes down to leaning on somebody, the hardest part is the trust. Trusting somebody enough to share your pain, to show them that you're vulnerable, to show them, that you need help. That's a tough one for a lot of people. And like I said, that was me. I get it. I went through some very, very, very dark stuff. Working through emotionally and mentally. No abuses of any kind, like substance or physical, not like that. But just the awful treatment that I got at work and at home. And it took time to work through all that. But I put my trust in my therapist and in my life coach. And they both saw me at my lowest and my worst. But again, because they were genuine people and, very empathic, people who cared, that's what made the difference in my healing. The ability to have somebody that makes you feel safe, that makes you feel seen, makes you feel heard, knowing that they will genuinely be there for you, and that they care, And I know some people will say, well, you paid those people for their services. Yes, I did. I do understand that. But I'm telling you, it went above and beyond that because of the type of people that they are. Because they saw struggle and pain and frustration and anger and all the other ugly emotions that were going on. But they also saw that I didn't deserve it. They realized pretty quickly that I was a good person. And that I needed to go through that dark period so I could climb out and be in the light where I am now. And it's so much nicer out here in the light. It really is. I smile so many times a day now where I never did. I have no stress. I love where my life's going. I love the new people that are coming into my life. I am absolutely grateful for my group of friends. I couldn't ask for anything better. Love my kids, my family. I'm very blessed. And, when I say that, I don't mean that I was given anything, because I had to do all that work. I had to go through that darkness. I had to dig out of that deep, dark pit that I kept getting knocked back down into. But the best feeling was the day where not only did I climb out of the pit, but when that big black boot came to knock me down, I grabbed it and threw whoever it was down into the dark pit. And then I walked out into the light, and I can remember that dream very vividly. And in the last 3 months, I've been the happiest I've been in over 20 years, maybe even longer. So, again, don't be afraid to lean on me. Don't be afraid to lean on others. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable in front of somebody you trust. Don't be afraid to talk about the things that are keeping you stuck in that cycle, because if you don't talk about them, you can't fix them and you can't heal. And above everything else that I do here, my hope for all of you that are not healed yet is that you'll listen to these videos that I make, and you'll see proof that you can go through the darkness and you can step into the light. It's a hard journey. You have to really have the stomach to really go deep and work on yourself. But when you come out, it's so much better. I can't imagine not having done it. So again, fear is the dumbest excuse to not do the work. I've said it a million times. Fear is not tangible. It's not physical. It can't hurt you. It has no power over you unless you give it, because it's just your manifestations of your own insecurities and weaknesses. So take control. Kick fear out. It has no place in your life. Nobody can keep you down or have power over you unless you give it, so don't. And just block out the noise and work on you. The best investment you will ever make in your life is finding your happiness and your peace. So, as always, know your value, know your worth, respect yourselves. I see you all for who you really are, and I love you for it. And I believe in every single one of you. I respect all of you. And I want nothing more than for all of you to be shining brighter. Have a beautiful day, guys.